This is a video about mounting the HNT Gordon non-racking bench vise. It's fully machined out of high quality aluminium, and the precision machining on it allows for very easy mounting onto a bench like this. First thing we need to look at is the thickness of your bench top and your bench design. This is a very simple design with a 64mm thick top on a frame. If you have an apron, you still have to basically create this scenario and also make a cutout in your apron to allow the vise to sit there. But essentially, if I measure from the mounting plate to the top of the vise, it's 74mm, right? So our bench top is 64. So this little packer is 10mm thick. If you've got a bench that's exactly 74mm thick, then you should be able to just screw the vise straight to your bench top. If your bench top is greater than 74mm thick, then you'll have to do a corresponding cutout to mount the vise in there so that the top of your vise is level with the top of your bench or just below it. So in our case, I've glued a 10mm packer in there, and the important thing is that this surface underneath is exactly at 90 degrees to that surface there. If you've decided to buy a tilting jaw to go with your front vise, which gives it more capability of holding odd shaped items, before you install the vise, I would recommend drilling your 1/2" dog hole in that position. So from the edge of the mounting plate, or on the right hand side of the mounting plate, it's virtually in line with that position there, and the center of the hole is 30mm from the top of your bench. That gives it the right position so that when you're working, the top of your tilting jaw is just below the height of the bench, and it can freely move around in that position. So worth doing that. The hole depth needs to be about 10mm deep. If it's too deep, you stop the jaw from tilting. So just watch that one. So once you've got this set up, as I said, make sure that's perfectly smooth. I do like mounting the vise next to the leg because it gives you extra support in this position here when you're holding things. But that's up to you. Some people have their bench extended out to here and mount their vise right on the end. It's a personal thing which you have to decide. Once you've decided where you're going to put it and you've got your mounting plate in position, then if you've got two people, this job is a lot easier. So you put it in there and apply the clamp. So I'm going to get some help to do this. See this little piece of wood here? That comes with the vise, and it's there to help you mount it. So what it does, it puts this plate just back away from the edge of the bench so that when you tighten your vise up, it pulls the plate against your bolts and then locks it in position. So put that in there. I recommend leaving the leather off. We've put the leather on in this case, but leave the leather off and put that little packer in there. Now we'll put it in position and hold it with a clamp. Okay, now that it's in position, we can then go ahead and drill some holes. Okay, I've selected a drill bit to suit the coach bolts. This is a 3/8 coach bolt, or about 9.5mm, and about a 7mm drill will do it, but you may need to go to 7.5, particularly if your top is really hard. So now that it's in position, I'm just going to drill the front two holes and or mark them out, take the vise out and then complete the drill. So put your drill up into the hole and start your holes at the front two. Right, so just mark your position first, then we'll take our clamp off. Then I'll get down and drill those holes properly. This way I can see that I'm drilling nice and straight. Now, in this case, where I'm right up against the leg, I would have to unbolt my top and so that I can drill that one straight. Okay, so we're ready to mount the vise. So bring it into position, put your first bolt in. Get your second bolt in. Before you go too far, just don't tighten the bolts up totally, just have a little bit of movement there. So what we do is I'll take that wooden packer out. So essentially the mounting plate is a little bit back from the edge of the bench. When I do this, the face of the vise up and pull it in, it squares it up, and also any gap that's around the bolt in the hole, it'll pull the plate hard against the bolt. Once you've done that up, then you nip the watch you don't strip the thread of the in the wood with these coach bolts. Now that's not quite complete, but it's in position, it's pulled up parallel to the bench, it's just below the surface. Now we can go ahead and drill the other holes. Just want to show you something here. So we've got our first two bolts in the front holes, and when we wound the vise jaw up against the bench, what we did was we forced the plate hard against this the back of this bolt. So on this back edge, that plate is hard up against there. Now when we drill the next holes at the back here, what we want to do is drill the hole so it's biased towards the back, so it will be locked up against that bolt at the back, and that what happens there, it stops that plate from being able to move anywhere at all. So if that plate can move, then you lose your ability of your non-racking. So I'm now going to drill my holes, but the hole will be biased towards the back of that hole there. Right, now we can go ahead and mount the two back bolts. Definitely use washers as well. And there is two more holes here. You can either drill them for coach bolts, or if you wanted to put a 10mm dowel, that will also help stop the plate from moving. A really good test to ensure that your mounting plate is secure is grab a piece of wood and put it in your vise right out at the extremities. Make sure it's holding tight, which means it's not racking. Bring your vise in and make sure that the jaw is still parallel to the bench face there, or to your back jaw. That way you know for sure your your plate isn't moving. Now, for different mounting scenarios, this plate can come off and be reversed. So those four bolts, take them out, turn the plate around, put them back in, and that edge will sit back 20 mils from the end of the barrel. Now what that does for you is, if you want to put a false jaw, say you want to put a false jaw which brings your clamping away from your bench, that's the space you can use there without losing any of your 150 mil travel. Also, if you're going to mount your vise to a bench that has a wider apron, then you have to put some sort of cutout in your apron, but essentially behind your apron you have to have the same mounting as what we've provided there. Your bench vise comes with a set of instructions which goes through what I just described there. So hopefully, in concert with this video, the instructions plus the information provided here will make fitting of your vise quite easily. If you've got a bench like this, it shouldn't take you much more than an hour to do, but if there's a few variations it might take you longer. If you have any questions, you can leave them in the comments below this video. In the description it will have a link to our website where the full details of this vise are located, along with the instructions. If you want us to send you a copy of the instructions prior to buying a vise, that's also there. If you like this video and want to be notified of future videos, please subscribe to our YouTube channel.